I just want to be an inspiration for the girls in college going through what I went through, or, high school girls, or just, I want to be a Kara Goucher for someone. I want to be a strong female role model in the sport for someone. The marathon's tough. It's hard. And I want to prove something to myself that, is bigger than myself.
Welcome to For the Long Run, the podcast exploring the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt. Through personal and professional connections in the running world, I have the privilege of getting to know some amazing athletes. I've always been fascinated by the psychological aspect of running, and this podcast is aimed at exploring this and much more. I hope you enjoy. Thank you to Tracksmith for their support of For the Long Run podcast. Tracksmith is a Boston-based running apparel brand born from a desire to celebrate both the history and the evolving culture of running. Tracksmith recently released their fall collection, which was designed to celebrate the seasonal shifts as we find our rhythm this fall. I have been loving their Van Cortlandt long sleeve, which pairs well with the Alston half tights on a brisk fall day. Imagine a world where running injuries don't exist and every runner stays healthy. That's the world I want to live in, and that's exactly the world that Recover Athletics wants to make happen. Recover is the first prehab app for runners. It instantly generates custom prehab programs made up of strength, plyometric, and mobility exercises to help loosen tight muscles, get stronger, and run your best. Their team designed it with top physicians and marathoners like Met. It's guaranteed to make you a stronger and more injury-proof runner. If you want to fix your aches and pains, get stronger, and set PRs, go to the App Store right now and download the Recover Athletics app today. Welcome back. I'm in Boulder, Colorado with Andrea Toppin. Dr. Andrea, Dr. Dre. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado with Dr. Dre. Thanks so much for taking some time to chat.
Yes. Thanks for having me, John.
Of course. So first question, who is Andrea?
Oh, wow. That's a broad question. Well, Andrea is a chiropractor now. She is an elite marathoner for Hazel and a dog mom now.
To a stinking cute Sheba who is about to run inside and say hello. Unfortunately, this isn't a video podcast, so those listening can't see it, but we'll share some photos of her. But, very cool. So we've run a bunch together. You're a speedy runner, and I'm curious, when did you go for your first run?
Ever?
Yep, first run ever.
Like casually or like...
First run.
I would say in kindergarten because, that's a lie. We used to race when I was like 4 or 5 at daycare, and my daycare person, I don't know what's my caretaker. That sounds really, she would report back to my parents that I would beat all the boys. I think I was like 5 or 6, so kindergarten age. And then every year we would do elementary relays. They were called the TJ relays. And so yeah, I'd run that every year, every spring. So I would say my first run was like 50 meters in the backyard of my caretaker, my daycare person.
And so at what point did you realize you were pretty good at it?
I would say like in 3rd grade, 3rd or 4th. I can't remember. I think 3rd grade was when they started introducing the 400 meters in distance, which kindergarten, I think you'd run up to 100 meters. And then 2nd grade, they introduced the 200. And then 3rd grade, I think you started to do the 400.
The marathon?
Felt like the marathon. Oh my gosh. I remember I'd run one lap and be like, like it was terrible. Felt like I was going to die. There she is. Hazel. All
right, Hazel wants to be a part of this podcast, so we're gonna see what happens.
Oh, good.
But
Lord.
So you're running the marathon in 3rd grade, or so it feels. And at what point did you think this is something that you actually enjoy?
So yeah, I used to beat the boys like in daycare, but when I really started to beat like everyone in my school was like, yeah, about third grade in the 200, the 100, 200. I remember I did like a sweep and someone was like, you're going to go to the Olympics. And I was like, nah, I just like to beat all the boys. Something weird, stupid like that. I think we did this like shuttle relay. There was no hurdles, but it was the 100. I have a picture of it. I have my hair all crimped out. Like it's already bizarre and like frizzy and curly and everything. But like I chose to crimp it on top of that. So it's just huge. But like, I don't know. It was really awesome because it was like 4 girls. I mean, I was the anchor. And then I remember we were going up against like the fastest guys in our school. And I think I outkicked like one of the fastest guys. And it was just great. Cause it was like the women beat the men, like we were superior. I don't know. So from that moment on, I think it was like that race that I was like, oh yeah, I'm good at this. Like, I like this. Like, this is my thing. And then moving forward from that, I was a multi-sport athlete in elementary, junior high, and high school. I did everything and I danced as well. But I think when I got into high school, I was like, I had to make choices. So like I had to drop volleyball. I didn't do softball. I only did basketball, cross country, and track. And then other things. So yeah, I think it was like my freshman year in high school. I was like, okay. I think the first race I placed in the top 10 in our region. And I was like, okay, I think I want to do this, collegiately beyond high school. And then when I got to college, I don't know. Do you want me to tell the whole story now? So in high school, it was a big goal of mine to make state. So once I made state my freshman year, like in multiple events in track, and then in cross country, then the next year was to be all state. And then my sophomore year, I became all state in track and like 3 different events. And then I was like, okay, I want to be a state champion. And then by my senior year, I think I won the 3K and the 1500. And then I almost won the 800 that year. But anyways, then I was recruited by several different Division III schools, Division II and Division I. I was going to go to a Division III school in Iowa, which is Wartburg. They're pretty well known for their long distance events. And I loved the coach. He was kind of like, I don't know why I was going to say this, a father figure to me, but not really. I don't know why I used that term. Anyways, he was just a very good role model in the sport for me.
Told a lot of dad jokes.
Yeah. I feel like he looked after me like a parent figure.
Yeah. That's a father figure.
Yeah. But then I also was recruited by Iowa State, and it was like between him, who I'd known for a long time. It was like a tough decision. It was like, okay, do you want to be like a multinational champion in Division III, easily get All-American status, or do you want to be a part of something that's way bigger than you and really have to work your ass off for it? And so it was always my dream. I looked up to Lisa Cole, now Ewell, but she's not in the sport really anymore. She trained with Shalane Flanagan and Kara Goucher for a bit when they were all under Bowerman, under Jerry in Beaverton/Portland for a while. And then she moved to Iowa my sophomore year. And then she was like our volunteer assistant coach. But when she would come back for practices, like my freshman year, she's from Iowa as well, Fort Dodge. Now she lives out here. Wow.
Everyone lives out here.
I know. Well, she lives in Fort Collins, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. She's listening to this. I don't know where you live, Lisa. But anyways, she was a big role model of mine in high school because she was a Hazel.
Hazel is currently eating a tree. One of the only plants I've been able to keep alive. So Hazel, let's not kill that one, please. Thank you.
Hazel Ray. Please. My dog is 5 months, almost 6 months old, and she is really becoming a teenager here, and it's showing. She has a lot of sass. She's relentlessly riskful, and she doesn't give a crap about anything. Okay, college. Yeah, I chose Iowa State because I really liked the success that she had there, being an underdeveloped runner in high school. She became a multiple national champion in the 10K and 5K, and then was All-American in cross several times. So I really liked the coach at the time, Corey Immels. He's now at Boise State, I believe. He's the director, but he was my coach for my first and second year at Iowa State, and I really loved him. He was He was just very easy and he wasn't dramatic. And I really bought into his program. It wasn't like super high intensity, but I loved the volume. Even though coming from high school, I ran like 10 to 15 miles a week. Like my first year at Iowa State, I ran like 45 to 55. And then my second year, I was at 70 to like 80. I don't know. I just really transformed pretty well in a year under him, which I was pretty happy with. And I loved the culture of the team as well. We had a co-ed team under him, which I loved. But then he left in 2013. I was really bummed about it because I had just started traveling for Iowa State. They're still pretty good at distance, but back then we were like a national powerhouse, distance powerhouse.
So one thing you said was you were choosing between basically walking on and being excellent and representing the school and this and that, and then needing to work hard and be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
Why did you choose the latter?
Because my senior year, so all throughout high school in cross country, not so much track, but cross country, our school didn't really have a team. It was, we didn't even have enough people to make a team, number one, for cross. Number two, my senior year, our school was like, okay, I think we're going to drop cross country for some reason. And so we shared a program with Garner. If anyone knows Iowa out there, probably not a lot of people do.
The analytics of this podcast don't highlight many Iowans. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Iowans.
So if you're out there, you're one of few representing.
For people that from Iowa, I grew up in Clear Lake. I went to Ventura High School, which is 3 miles west of Clear Lake-ish, AKA 3 miles from my house. And then Garner is like, I don't know, 5 miles from Ventura. So we shared it with Garner. They were like the priority school. And then at the time, it was also West Hancock, which is in Britt, Iowa, which is like 15 minutes west of Garner. So it was like 3 small communities. Ours was the coolest because we had the lake.
Nice.
Everyone loved coming to Ventura. Like we would do one day at Britt, one day Ventura, one day Garner, but it was mostly Garner because that was like the central home station. Anyways, my senior year, we joined with them and I had a team. Like I had a team. I wasn't just running for one spot. Like I wasn't just running individually the whole year of cross. And I went from, trying to get individual accolades to we almost won state as a team. And so that was pretty huge for me. And I think that's how I gained more notoriety from Iowa State. And I think I got 5th place overall as an individual. And then we were 1 point away from podium. So we were 4th. But that was really cool and I had a lot of fun. And I think the reason why I was so successful that season was because I was contributing to something bigger than myself and I was a leader on the team and was making a huge difference. And when I visited all the schools that I visited, the 2 schools that stood out to me were Wartburg and Iowa State because they had the same types of culture. Iowa State was, I knew that I always wanted to run Division I. I really liked the coach, Lisa Cole/Ewell, really showed me what it takes to be an amazing athlete at the Division I level.
And what was that?
I mean, lots of just buying into the program and, trusting your coach, trusting your training and starting slow and building from the ground up. I don't know what her mileage was, probably 100 miles a week, because that's generally what Coach Immel's 10Kers were doing. I remember when he left, I was on track to by the end of the summer, I was supposed to hit 90. So I think he would have given me another year. By my junior year, I would have been at 100. I was more steeplechase 5K, but I think I would have at least ran 1 to 2 10Ks underneath him. So yeah, I chose Iowa State. It was very heartbreaking telling Steve Johnson at Wartburg that I remember he called me because I was like, yeah, I made my decision. I'll call you later this week. And then he literally called me 30 minutes later and I was driving home from dance class and it was really dark out. And I remember I was like, this is so awkward. Yeah, it was sad. But my brother ended up running for him. So whatever, he got my brother. Yeah, my brother also lives here. He just moved here this fall. He's going to be a chiropractor this December, technically November, but his commencement ceremony is in December. So I'm pretty excited. I think I'm going to hood him at the ceremony. So that'll be fun.
So where did chiropractic come into play?
really, I wanted to be a PT first I wanted to be an athletic trainer, but you need to put in so many hours in the training room. And I remember I went on my first college visit and they were like, you're not going to be able to be an athletic trainer if you want to be an athlete. And I'm like, oh, true. That makes sense. So they're like, you should consider physical therapy. So I shadowed some physical therapists and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Plus I had a pretty bad Achilles injury my senior year, and a physical therapist basically brought me back and I won 2 state titles. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to be this for someone else. And then in college, I was kinesiology, pre-physical therapy the whole time. And in my like off hours, which was very few, I would work at a PT clinic for... Oh, we brought the bone inside. You are going to be so loud, Hazel. Okay. At least she's not.
Good. I think she's good.
She just found a new toy, which is good. That'll keep her busy for a good hour, maybe. Yeah. So I worked for my mentor at the time, and she really, there's another story to that, but she brought me back from a career-ending injury. So that was another big reason why I wanted to do physical therapy. But in my career now, I mean, as a chiropractor, you can really be whatever. Chiropractic is so broad now. And I feel like that's why when I went to chiropractic school, I was like, I want to be more of a sports chiropractor because I wanted to be like the PT that basically saved my running career. And then I kept getting waitlisted at PT schools. I got waitlisted at one in Portland, Maine, which was gorgeous. And then one in Phoenix and one in LA, but I didn't really like the one in LA. So my brother's like, I think you should apply to chiropractic school. I've been shadowing one because my brother's kind of like my twin in a sense, and he just copies everything I do in a good way. But he's like, Andrea, if you couldn't get into PT school, I don't think I'm going to be able to. So then he started shadowing chiropractors and he was like, I think you'd really like it. Plus I feel like you have more freedom as a chiropractor. Back then, I feel like PT is really coming around now. But you see more chiropractors opening up their own businesses, and they don't need a doctor's permission to write not a script, but like refer you different places. They're more of an open portal provider. Like you just have more autonomy as a chiropractor. So I shadowed a few and I was like, okay, we'll give it a try. But if I become a chiropractor, I'm going to be like only a rehab based one. Like I was kind of skeptical of the adjustments for some reason. So I moved to Minneapolis, moved in with my friend Katie Moen, now known as Katie German. She is also an elite marathoner. She was a Big 12 champion, national qualifier, All-American in cross. She beat Shelby Houlihan her senior year. So she's pretty damn good. Yeah, she trains in Minnesota now in Minneapolis, but I lived with her for a year. I worked for a sports chiropractor, and that's kind of what I was like, okay. And I wasn't coming off the waiting list, and I was like, I think this is more of the career for me. And so I went to chiropractic school in Minneapolis for almost 3.5 years, and really happy I chose that route.
Very awesome. And it brought you here. And
Yes.
so let's talk about the elite running side of things.
Yes.
So you run some fast times, but you want to run faster times.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked a little bit about this. So talk to me about what that means to you. The fact that like you're so excited by like taking 5+ minutes off your marathon. And for context, 5 minutes in the 2:30s and 2:40s range is like 20 minutes when you're above 3.
Yeah. I never actually thought I'd be a marathoner. Like people would joke towards the end of my career at Iowa State, they're like, oh, are you going to run a marathon? And I'm like, no.
I won't even drive that far.
Yeah. I was like, no, that's stupid. And I'm just like, the farthest I've ran in the cross country is like, oh boy, she's back. 4K. Where does this energy come from? Sorry, we're Hazel. Hazel.
We're going to have to please the listeners with plenty of photos from Hazel.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed. She's adorable, but do not be fooled.
Check the show notes for a link to
also mischievous
Hazel the Sheba's Instagram.
Yeah. At Hazel Ray the Sheba. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
If you're listening to this while running, you should pause your run and follow Hazel Ray the Sheba on Instagram.
Yes. You can also follow me at atop1212, and I have her Instagram handle in my bio. So
it's the only thing.
And I'm pretty sure I post her on my story at least like once per day, if not like 5. And I have like 5 Instagram posts of her tagged. So, all right.
So running the marathon.
So
why? Let's start with why the marathon and then get to about the excitement about going faster.
Why the marathon? The marathon is just such an accomplishment in itself. It's such a journey. I don't care if you run 5 hours or if you run 2:20.
If you run 1:59, I care.
Jeez. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Kipchoge.
Yeah.
Jake Tuber is listening to this and impossible is nothing.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Human is limited.
I love his little, like when every finish line he does this chest bump and then it's just, I don't know.
And he does a 10K cool down.
Yeah, just casual. So yeah, it's just such an amazing feat for your body. And I also was told the words like, you may never run competitively again. So when I finished my first marathon, and any marathon I've done, which I've only successfully completed 2. I've only ran 3, which we'll get to that. But any marathon is just a success in itself. Like to put your body through that much impact for that long.
Professionally speaking.
Yes, But I remember, getting to mile 25 of my first one. And yeah, I started crying because I was just like, how many years was it then? My first one was in 2017 and I was told I would never run again in 2014. I was like, 3 years ago, I was told I would never compete again. And here I am about to run my first marathon. My first one, I wasn't going for the trial standard. My coach wanted me to. And I just was like, you know what? I'll be lucky with the training that I was putting down to run 3:10. And I think we got to the half and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I could run 3 hours. And then I got to, I don't even know, mile 20, which is when it gets hard. My first marathon was the Twin Cities Marathon. So if all you guys have run that or people who have run that, you know that it's pretty good. Until I think once you get over the Franklin Bridge, then the hills really come. But when you get to the top of the hill towards St. Thomas and then you turn right and then left up Summit. Summit is like a 5-mile, basically gradual uphill until
That's
you
nice
get
at the end of a marathon.
To the cathedral. And then it's all
downhill from here.
200 to 400 meters downhill. And man, do you feel that? So I just remember, I think I got to mile 20. I can't really remember now, but I got to one point. It was towards the end. I was like, wow, I might actually like break 3 hours. And then I think I got to a point I was calculating it in my head. And I was like, wow, I might break 2:55. And then I just remember coming down that hill, tears in my eyes, super cheesy. And I saw
American flag waving in the background.
It was. They had it. It's up there behind the finish line. It was epic. It was like 2:52 high, so almost 2:53. I believe that's what it was. And I was like, wow. And that was my first marathon. With everything that I went through in college, obviously, a lot of female distance runners go through that body image disorder stuff. But I also was, I had, relationship issues where I was like, emotionally abused and all that jazz and told I was fat. And so like coming down that hill was just very, and, being told I would never run again. It was just like, just defeating the impossible. So I just felt unstoppable. And then,
what did the finish line feel like?
Well, once I stopped, I felt
stoppable.
Like I was like, whoa, did I just freaking pull my calf in 3 different ways? Like I was like, did I just rupture my Achilles? No, that's not what I felt like. But I just remember it was like my left glute and my left calf was like, whoa, no. And then I couldn't walk. But my coach at the time, Tyler German, which is Katie's husband, I ran with both of them at Iowa State and they were like 2 of my best friends. He was like, that's pretty awesome because I was doing my tempos at like 7-minute pace. Like I wasn't really he wanted me to go for 2:45 and I was like, dude, I'm retired now. I do not want to run post collegiately, like at the elite level. Like let's just get the Boston qualifier. It was a bucket list check mark. Like I wanted to just be a normal person. I remember after college, I did try to be an elite athlete, and it just wasn't for me. I ran the 10 mile. I ran god awful slow, the 10 mile champs. And I remember lining up next to Gwen Jorgensen when she lived in Minneapolis, and then Jordan Hissey. And it was when they were just crazy. Gwen was just coming off of her Olympic gold medal in the triathlon. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? I remember warming up with Natasha Rogers, and she was like, so tell me about yourself. And I was like, well, I shouldn't be in this field. But running that 10 mile, like I did okay. I probably got last in the elite field. But after that race, so it was like fall 2016, I was like, yeah, I don't belong in the pro area of life. So I'm just going to run casually. And then I came back from a run, 12-mile run, like in the spring. And Tyler was with us visiting Katie, and he was like, you should really like try the marathon. He was like, no, try a half marathon. So then I tried a half marathon in Des Moines. I was in the elite field, and I got 5th and won prize money in the elite field. And I was like, oh, wow. And I think Tyler was in the elite field, but I think the female field wasn't as competitive as the male field, but I won more money than him. So he was a little butthurt by that. But he was like, okay, you're signing up for Twin Cities and you're going to go for the Olympic trial standard. And I'm like, what?
0 to 60. So, okay, so you finish the first marathon.
Yeah. That was my first trimester of chiropractic school. So then it got pretty intense after that. Hazel, sorry, she got really close to the cup of water. Here, let me get her little toy over here.
Thank you again to Tracksmith for their support of the podcast. I've been a fan of Tracksmith and their community-first efforts ever since my early days of running in Boston. As my miles increase again ahead of some big goals this coming spring, I'm definitely doing it in comfort and style with their gear. I'm also proud to partner with Tracksmith because they're going to donate 5% of your order value to the Michael J. Fox Foundation for all orders, and you'll also get free shipping. The Michael J. Fox Foundation is dedicated to finding a cure and helping those living with Parkinson's. Both of my grandfathers have or had Parkinson's, and I'm grateful of Tracksmith's support for something so personal. Visit tracksmith.com/forthelongrun to see some of my favorite pieces, and all orders that start from that page will contribute towards this donation. Recover Athletics is a supporter of not only this podcast, but also my own running. It was built in Boston by 2 lifelong training partners who got tired of aches and pains getting in the way of their training. In 90 seconds, their app will customize a program for your body and your training. I've plugged in some of my more common aches and pains, and I got a custom-built program designed to strengthen the muscles and tendons that will help avoid these issues going forward. Your first custom prehab program is free, and they have an unlimited free trial. You can get it on the App Store right now by searching Recover Athletics or click the link in the show notes. If you like it and want to upgrade, their premium subscription costs less than one trip to a PT. Give Recover a try today. Your legs will thank you. So you finish your first marathon, you're in chiropractic school. You don't have any dogs yet. You don't have a dog yet.
I wish.
And you decide, hey, I'm going to do this again.
Yeah. So after that, I was on a high. I was like, Tyler, I want to train. Let me just finish out this term. There's 10 trimesters in my program, by the way. So I was in my first. And I'm like, trimester 2 is pretty rigorous. So I took a month off after the marathon, I think. And then we started up training in like January. And then the plan was to get the Olympic trial standard at Grandma's 2018. Trimester 2 of chiropractic school was no joke. I also feel like I kind of just wanted to have fun with everyone. And I was just kind of like figuring out my place in the program, meeting a lot of new friends. And so, AKA, I was hitting the party scene. And like
Dr. Dre was in town.
Well, okay, in college, I took like a max of like 16 to 18 credits. I was taking like 30 credits. So like I needed a release, and I was sick of running again. Oh, and I think I also did something to my Achilles. I don't know, but I just didn't have the motivation, didn't have the fight. And I just was like, I remember like texting Tyler, like, I'm just not cut out for this. I guess I'm not going to hit the qualifier. So I emailed Grandma's elite field and was like, hey, I think I like faked my injury and was like, hey, I'm gonna have to drop. I did something to my Achilles. I have really bad Achilles tendonitis. Then after completing trimester 2, a lot of people drop from the program during that trimester because it's just, or people fail a lot of classes and then drop the whole program. So I just wanted to survive that one. Once I got through it and I did fairly well, I watched the Boston Marathon, and that's when Des won, and it was just terrible conditions. And I remember watching Sarah Sellers get second, and I didn't know who she was, full-time nurse anesthesiologist. I think that's what she is. I just was so, what is she doing?
She's just sniffing around.
Oh, where is she at?
She's outside.
Okay. Dingleberry. Lord. I forgot poop bags, so I had to pick up her giant turd with a grocery bag, and I got some on my finger, so that was great. Just dog mom things, where were we at? Watching Sarah Sellers. I saw she's a full-time nurse anesthesiologist. I'm a full-time chiropractic student. She beat, Molly
almost
Huddle.
Everyone.
Yeah, literally. Molly Huddle, Shalane Flanagan. I don't know who else was in the field, but I was like, wow. And she did that and that grit. And I texted Tyler and I was like, yo, Olympic trials hunt, qualifier hunt is on. Like, I'm very motivated by that. So we put our sights on CIM 2018. I started my training in May and gradually built. And it was like, all of a sudden I was just fully bought in, and I felt like all my workouts, I actually hit the paces that I was supposed to hit, if not faster. I did all my long runs. Of course, there were setbacks. I had an Achilles injury during midterms, like October 2018. I took, 5 days off and I was fine. But I was really scared going into it because I had taken, time off close to it, like quite a bit of time. We were building for my peak mileage to be at like 80, 85. I probably averaged like 60 miles a week. So it wasn't perfect by any means. But, I got there. I felt good. I felt confident. And I ran with my friend, Caitlin Keene. I ran most of the whole thing with her. She was like my spirit animal. She's racing this weekend in Cincinnati, sidebar. And I think I ran with, what's her name? MK. She runs in Nevada now. She's pretty speedy now. I don't know. It was a huge group of just women empowering each other for 26.2 miles. And it was just a really, really special day. The conditions were perfect. I remember it was like 30 degrees at the start, but I was in Minneapolis.
That was a hot day.
So that was great. I remember taking off my gloves. I was like, yeah, it's too hot for this. Like my gloves, my headband, like I think I just jogged to the start and was like, yeah, we're good. But I just remember the national anthem playing and so I did this in right before 2 weeks of 14 finals in chiropractic school.
Wow.
So, and everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people knew that I was going for the Olympic trial standard. Like, I had to really persuade my pathology professor, and she's pretty hardcore. I was like, yo, so I'm going to have to miss the exam because I'm trying to qualify for the Olympic trials in the marathon. And she was like, what? Because nobody at my school does that. Yeah. Like when I was like telling my professors while I was leaving, like, I don't know, there was a lot of pressure on me. I'm like, I got to come back and I got to qualify because if I don't,
but how did you manifest that into something good? Or did you?
Like the energy at the starting, I knew I could do it. I think most of it was, all right, this is something I want to inspire my future patients, which, I do now. Every time I tell them my story, like they ask, what do you do? Are you an athlete? Yeah. And then I've got to tell them.
You can send them this podcast.
Yeah, I can.
Just hit play.
Yeah. And I also thought of, the broken girl that I was in undergrad, which I was. I thought of her and I thought of how proud she would be of me, like lining up to do this. And I also thought of like the end result. Are you back for more, Hazel? Gosh, she is just...
So talk to me about what you just alluded to, the broken girl. We saw the University of Oregon track reports that came out recently, mm-hmm. and I was having a conversation with Keely Henninger today about this. Hazel just bumped her head on the table. We're going to have a dog in every future for the long run, for the long dog run. So I was talking with Keely, and the point that was made was, she said, how does this stop? And I said, I think that the structures are crumbling because people are seeing that it's happening and it's not okay. And there's agreement that like, this is not okay. Whereas everything behind the scenes, I didn't run in college. I didn't have this experience. Like, so I'm just like really shooting from the hip. So tell me if I'm off base, but I think that it happens because the silence is accepted and like there's no awareness that this isn't the way. And now we're seeing that it can't be the way. And so where it is happening, we're seeing that like the momentum slow down.
Yeah. I just remember being really frustrated in college because in high school, you know, growing up, I was always the skinny girl, but like the skinny muscular. Like I just was always like lean. And then I feel like I hit puberty pretty late, literally when I was 19. So it was like, that's when my body changed. And then I also went to college. So it was like, I had literally the freshman 15. And then I lived with people on the team who had eating disorders quite a few different times. Cause obviously I cycled through who I lived with, I think as most people do in college. And I just was so frustrated, like seeing a lot of the girls on my team struggle through it and seeing their bodies change so much and just seeing what they had to sacrifice to be that fast. Well, it only lasted very temporarily, but it just really frustrated me. And I had comments by a past ex-boyfriend, like, you're going to have to lose like at least 20 pounds. That was my freshman year. Like he told me I was like the second fattest girl on the team. And I came from a community where everyone saw me as, you know, the skinny one, the string bean. Like they'd make jokes about me on the basketball team. Like I had the tiniest arms in the world. Like, and so it was terrible. And to live through that, it was, I mean, everyone listening to this, you know, female distance runner, even male distance runners can agree with me. It was just downright frustrating. And I knew it was wrong. I went along with it. Like we'd get post long run donuts when Coach Immels was our coach. And I'd watch some of the girls eat it and they would eat it. And then the rest of the day, they wouldn't eat a damn thing. And I'm just like, you just ran like 14 to 16 miles. Come on, fuel your effing body. And then I started to do that. And then I got really pissed at myself, but I was like, this is the only way I'm going to get fast because this is what society's telling me. This is what my boyfriend at the time is telling me.
How did you break that cycle?
I had a high tibial stress fracture that was started medially and wrapped all the way around the back, and it was bad. And I was told that I would never run again. And I fought my orthopedic surgeon. I was like, I'm going to run. And even my coach, oh, she's just chewing on that bone. So my second coach, Coach Martin Smith, came over, and then he hired a women's coach, Coach Andrea Grove McDonough. Now she is the director of track and field cross country at Toledo. And she's like a second mom to me when I was at Iowa State. She really helped me kind of overcome all of the relationship issues I had with that certain boy and just become like a strong, independent woman and kind of battle a lot of the body issues I was going through. So that was really awesome having her. What was the question again?
The question was how you broke the cycle.
Oh, well, how I broke the cycle. So I kind of told myself, because I didn't have my period for like 2 years, and then I got that really devastating stress fracture. I was like, you know, the lifestyle you were living, like, yeah, you became faster. You made the travel team. You contributed to like Big 12 championships, almost national team titles and all that stuff. But obviously that's not working out for you. And you basically could lose running all in itself competitively. And also the orthopedic surgeon was like, we're going to have to put a giant nail down your tibia.
Oh God.
So that's another thing as a provider. Like I would never say that to an athlete. Like words matter. Type of words matter.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yeah, it was my injury and my cycle of injuries. Like I had a train ride full of injuries, like Achilles tendonitis. I strained my adductor. It took me out for like 3 months, and I had several cycles of Achilles tendonitis. I lost so much time during college because I wouldn't eat. Well, I ate, but just so stupidly, and didn't take care of myself and wasn't recovering. I was so concerned. And it wasn't just the not eating, it was my mind. My mind just like my lack of self-love was slowing me down really and hurting me physically and mentally. So that's when I was like, you know what? I need to nourish my body. And, there were some girls on the team that were fighting that stigma as well. My friend, Erin Hooker, I basically became like best friends with her my 5th year when I came back. And I came back as our 3rd runner on the team at nationals. And I got all region, which I was never in that category to ever get. Like I was good, but I wasn't that good. And so basically coming back my 4th year, I told myself, once we read that MRI, I was like, I want to be put on crutches. I want to heal this naturally. He's like, okay, well, you've got 6 weeks on crutches and then we'll do another imaging session at 8 weeks. At 8 weeks, he's like, if you still have a stress fracture, we're doing surgery. So I made sure I ate burgers. I ate a crap ton of the rainbow, so a bunch of vegetables. I made sure I was taking every supplement known to mankind that would help me. I made sure that I was eating fats, which I would avoid before that. And I just made sure I ate everything that I tried to avoid because I knew it was good for me. I saw a nutritionist. I saw Hazel. I did not see Hazel. I saw a sports psychologist. I, talked about my body image stuff. I broke up with that ex, but then I also got back together with him, but then I I got back together with him and then I broke up with him before my 5th year. So that's another long story.
So what you're saying is you asked for help.
Yeah, I asked for help and I told myself I wasn't gonna, because before that I felt like I was like, it's weak to go to a therapist. It's weak to go to a nutritionist. Only the people that have legit eating disorders on our team are seeing the dietitians and nutritionists. And I finally just was like, I'm going to stop being a little pussy about this and I'm going to grow some balls and I'm going to take care of myself because I need to do this for my mental health. I wasn't happy. I was super depressed, super anxious. So I changed it. And then I remember the first cross country practice back, I was one of our top runners and my coach her jaw dropped to the floor. She was like, I was about to have a talk with you about how this sport is not for you anymore. Like, cause she's scared I was going to break my tibia in half. Well, that'd be hard to do. I'd have to be like in football or something, but basically it was a scary injury. Tibial stress fractures are usually like mid to lower part of the tibia. This one was literally like right below my knee.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from then on out, I was like, wow, what a concept. When you take care of yourself mentally, physically, nutritionally, all around the board. Oh, wow, you run well? So then my body image and everything just like escalated from there. And I feel like I'm fully recovered in a sense, just based on what I did for myself in that period of time. And I mean, year by year, it's like you get stronger year by year. But removing myself from the sport for a year was great, like post-collegiately. That really helped my mental health, just being a normal person, but I would still run casually. I still loved running. And then getting back into the sport and realizing how much better I was at it. And I knew how to take care of myself even more. And then I think being in chiropractic school kind of helped with that. And so, yeah.
Cool.
So I healed myself.
And so now we're chasing some fast times at Ridgemont High.
After the Olympic trials in 2020, I had a pretty tough build up to that. The year 2018, 2019, I was pretty fast and I felt like working my butt off throughout probably the hardest years of school, the hardest terms / trimesters. I think I ran I was training through several, I went through school. We only had 2 breaks a year and they were 2 to 3 weeks at length. And I would usually have to take boards during those breaks. There was one Oh, one time I had to take 2 weeks of finals, and in between the 2 weeks of finals, of like 18 finals that I had to take part 1 boards. It was terrible. Anyways, I think I was just really burnt out from that going into the fall of 2019, leading up to the trials. And I had another really bad Achilles injury, and I took myself out of, because I was going to try to get the A standard before going to the Olympic trials. And so I was going to try to run at least like 2:36 was my goal, so I could be a little bit more competitive in Atlanta. Didn't work out for me. I had to cancel it because if I would have ran it on a really bad Achilles, I probably wouldn't have been able to run the trials. So my was kind of banged up at the trials. I'd gotten my wisdom teeth out, so I was out for like a long time. And then my build up to the trials, once I was like healthy from like December to February, was shit. Like I feel like she's got the bone. I feel like I couldn't complete a fast workout without pain. So I would get like 2 miles into my workouts, or like 2 miles into like my progressive long runs, and I'd have to just do the rest of the thing easy, or I'd cut it short. I only had like one 18 to 22 mile long run before the trials, so I was really scared. And then, the day of the trials, I went out pretty fast. Even though I tried to be conservative, I think everyone was kind of in that boat. But I remember getting to like the third lap, coming around the Omni Hotel, wanting to drop out, being like, oh, I see my mom. Can I just stop here? And plus that course was grueling. But if I believe, like if I would have had a good day, like if I would have been healthy, not burnt out, because a week before that I took like part 2 chiropractic boards. So I was just kind of wiped. But if I would have been in good spirits and everything, I think I would have placed, my goal was like within the top 50, because I'm a strength runner. I'm good at hills. And I honestly believe I could have finished there, but that didn't happen. And then at mile 18, I was like, I started seeing stars and my hamstring tightened up, and it's like, I'm just so I dropped, but I didn't let that get me down. I celebrated the weekend, and then I was super motivated from then. So, and then COVID happened, and then
Dr. Dre, the next episode.
And then all my boards came crashing down at once. We have to take like 5 parts in chiropractic school. So I took 3 all in like one weekend, essentially. It sucked. And then I had to move here. Got to.
When did you move here?
August 2020. And I interned at a clinic in Denver for my current boss's former associate. So it's a small world out here. I just couldn't really get that joy for running and training back, but I still, would try because I enjoy it. And I recently strained my low back. So I'm on day 10 off right now, but I'm feeling better. And I think I'm going to go for a 4-mile run tomorrow morning. So
we should run together.
Yes.
We'll go slow.
It's going to be butt-ass slow.
Yep. Works for me.
Yeah. But my goal, I think it's not official, but I think I'm going to try to run my next race. Will hopefully be the US 15K champs in March, and then maybe do a half in February. Not really sure about that one, but I just want to take it gradually, slow, and just be consistent and enjoy it. Enjoy the process, because I wasn't enjoying the process. So why force it? That's kind of what my last year and a half has been like, almost 2 years since the Olympic trials. So now that it's like I'm balanced, I have the job that I want, I have an amazing boss. I work with an amazing staff. I love my patients. I love my life. I love my dog. My brother's here. I've got great friends. Everyone's healthy and well. Now I feel fully prepared mentally to take on this challenge of running 2:35 and faster. It's kind of my goal. That is my goal. I don't just want to be like, I qualified for Olympic trials. Like I want to be not a contender for the Olympics, but like, I just want to be, who's that really fast runner here? Like Bria, how do you say her last name?
Welsh?
I think so. Yeah. Like she's pretty good.
Yeah.
I want to be pretty good.
Her goal, I think, was 2:27 at Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be that good, but it'd be great to break 2:30. Or like my former training partner, Dakota Lindworm. She was 3rd American at Boston. She ran 2:31 at Boston.
What does that mean to you? The time, the place. Why is that the goal?
Why is that the goal? Just to, these tough questions. again, like I just want to be an inspiration for the girls in college going through what I went through, or, high school girls, or just, I want to be a Kara Goucher for someone. I want to be a strong female role model in the sport for someone. The marathon's tough. It's hard. And I want to prove something to myself that, is bigger than myself. And I love the sport. I love running. But, after every marathon that I successfully completed, which has only been 2, I've just always felt so strong, and that
it's like gratifying.
Yeah. Until you run one, will you not know what we're talking about? And
and even if it goes poorly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even if it does, I was still proud of myself at the trials.
Yeah.
I did something that not a lot of people, only 500 women, which I don't even think 511 women lined up on the line that day. It was like 490.
Top 500.
Or 60 or something like that. I think only like 300 and some odd women finish. So
that was a tough day.
Oh, it sucked. Can they please choose a better course? But yeah, it's just, the marathon is tough. And I think if you can finish one, and if you can finish one well within your goal as well, you're pretty badass, regardless of what the time is.
I mean, I've run 7 or 8, and I've had one go well.
Yeah.
And I finished it, and I was like, if I never have another good marathon, like that was really satisfying.
Yeah.
Like that was fantastic.
The energy around it, the spectators.
She's got a stick now.
Oh, Lord. She never stops.
Yeah. So I think it's the kind of thing where like you do it, and then you're just like, the obvious like
you're
intrigue
just hooked.
Is like, what more can I do? How far can I go? How fast can I go?
Yeah. I think my biggest challenge going forward is to find that fire again that I've kind of lost, to find that joy for running.
How are you going to do that?
By committing, by being consistent, by really listening to my body and my mind, surrounding myself with positive humans to train with / just to be around. The past year has been not really linear for me. I quit my job in July. Just, it wasn't speaking to me. It wasn't making me happy. And I took a risk and went part-time for my mentor, who I work for now. And just recently signed my contract for her. So, and she's one of the best chiropractors in Denver, in Colorado. It's a woman-owned business. Like she is like, she's kind of like what Coach McDonough is for me, but in the chiro world, like being a strong female in a very male-dominated profession, and being one of the top premier pediatric, prenatal, and sports chiropractors. You don't get that trifecta. So to work for her is an absolute dream. And I think now that it's like I have my dream of what I wanted 5-10 years ago, to live in Colorado, to be in the profession that I have wanted to be in for so long, and to be motivating and inspiring my patients day in and day out, and helping people, but also running. And, I never thought I would have been an elite marathoner. If you would have asked me this in high school, in college, like I never thought I would be, I run for Hazel. I never thought I would even run for them. So to have all of the cards finally line up, the planets align, I believe now I start healthy. I put in the work. I'm consistent with my strength training. That's another thing. I've been really blah about that lately. I surround myself with good humans and just have good vibes and speak to myself kindly, but also have to be honest with myself. Like if my calf is hurting, if my Achilles is hurting, like my low back is hurting, we need to take time off. What do we need to fix? Do we need to sleep more? So it's the little things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I always say we'll see you out there. Hopefully see you out there soon, but I feel like I'll see you out there literally tomorrow.
Yes.
So thanks so much for taking some time to chat, and we'll literally see you out there.
Yes. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs, it's sad when it has to end. I hope you join in next time on For the Long Run. And in the meantime, happy trails. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it so that others can find it and enjoy it too. This podcast and the accompanying music has been produced by Brian Walters of Single Track Sound. For the Long Runs logo was created by Vanessa Wolf of Sterling Wolf.